Everybody, welcome back. Got a quick hit video for you, some potential rumors, two characters that might be coming to the Young Avengers from a very reliable source that you'll probably hear from several content creators about this. And I'm really just here to tell you who these characters are because frankly, I have no idea who some of these guys are and I wanted to look some of them up. One kinda, but the other one, So anyway, let's check out who they are.
Bring me WolverThor!
Alright, so let's filter this down to the Young Avengers. So these are the four that we've got in the game at the moment. Now, the rumor here is that Miles is going to be removed from this team and two more are going to come on. And that makes sense for Miles because, I've got this Spider-Gwen thing that I've had out there forever, which clearly is a great character to put in game. And at some point with the Spider-Verse or Into the Spider-Verse cinematic universe, that Miles, Gwen, hopefully Spider-Ham, those type of characters will probably be put together on one team, which would be a super cool and fun team. So that means we need two characters in this particular video for the rumors, and that's who we've got. We've got the first one let's drop over here to the Chrome window, is Hulkling. Now, when I first looked up Hulkling, I was like, okay, I don't really know much about Hulkling. I thought Hulk in general. And he goes by Theodore Altman, and there's a whole bunch of different kind of alternate reality versions of this guy, and you'll see there's a mention of Hulk here, King Hulk. Yeah, that was the main one. So, and you got all these different versions of him, and you could go through and look at each one of these, and I was like, man, you know what? I just want a general explanation of who this guy is, because the truth is I really didn't know who this guy was. It looks like some sort of Hulk-looking guy with wings. Is this some like gargoyle guy? And so I went over to Wikipedia and it talks about Emperor Hulkling, again, Teddy, Kaplan, Altman, and he's depicted as a member of the Young Avengers. So I was like, okay, that makes sense. And we need a Young Avenger. And it's like, all right, that's great. We need that in there. And that is Hulkling's character's patterned on the Hulk with shape-shifting abilities. That's the part that I'm guessing is going to be the biggest thing with Hulkling here is the shape-shifting abilities that go far beyond the ability to mimic the Hulk and superhuman strength, which, based on that, I think that's where we're going to get a little Mystique, a little Hulk, maybe a couple things going on there. It talks about the publication history a little bit. They were originally, which I found pretty interesting here, and it ties in, it talks about the teenage years, about the founding of these Avengers. Hulkling was originally planned to be a female character, which I was like, okay, that's kind of interesting. And they have pitched them to as a female character using the shapeshifter to pose as a man. And the person who talks about this is that they could depict an openly gay character in the Marvel universe. But apparently they ended up going away from that, but who knows what Scopely will do. Maybe they soak around that. Obviously, we've got, at least one gay character, two gay characters in the game at the moment. So, it's always nice to get, any potential more diversity in the game. So maybe they go that route. They talk about how he's featured in Civil War and all these different things. And that he was most recently a key player in Empire, which, if I remember correctly, in one of the Cerebro, what do you want to call it? Strike times. I think he had an Empire comic behind him. So this might really tie into that. So that makes a whole lot of sense. I think that's what it was. I'll have to double check that when I go back and find that comic. All right, so I went to find this, and what do you know? Look right here. Empire. So you really got to kind of look for these little, what else he's got on here? Marvel Zombies. Now that I'm looking at this, I'm like, all right, Scream, White Magneto, Gwen Stacy, okay. So anyway, so that's kind of fun and cool. Cerebro, appreciate you and the little Easter eggs there. So jumping back to Hulkling, so it looks like, let's see what else we got in his actual character here. So it talks about his first appearance, kind of not really knowing that much about him. All his changes when the shape-shifting Super Skrull appears, stating that Teddy is a Skrull. The Super Skrull is surprised to learn that Teddy has super strength and wonders perhaps the rumors about his father are true. The Super Skrull follows the Young Avengers to Wiccan's house, more on that in a second, spoiler, where Teddy's mother is waiting for him. The Super Skrull releases a device designed for Teddy into his true form, to attempt to prove his Skrull heritage. While the device does not change Teddy's physical appearance, Miss Altman, who is also caught in the device beams, turns into a Skrull. The Super Skrull accuses her of being a traitor in her race. She responds by saying that the Empress ordered her to protect Teddy, even from the likes of the Super Skrull. Pulling out a gun, the Super Skrull responds by killing her, but it was unintentional. Talks about going through the Kree Skrull War. He kidnapped Captain Marvel, Quicksilver, and Scarlet Witch, presenting him with the Skrull Emperor Doric VII. The heroes escape later, blah, 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 blah. And it's just talking about child marked for death by Doric VII again. However, his chambermaid smuggled him to Earth and raised him as Teddy. So, yeah, it talks that, basically that this guy was taken and then brought to Earth. The Super Skrull reveals his intention to bring Teddy back to the Empire so that he may unify his people. So when you see that King Hulk type thing, maybe that's the idea there. The problem was that Kree soldiers arrived to take Teddy on their own. Battle erupts. Teddy ends the conflict by surrendering himself. Instead, he then spent half on Earth year with the Kree and the other half with the Skrull. So it's a Kree Skrull thing kind of going on there. And then however, Teddy's left. The Teddy that left Earth is actually a Super Skrull in disguise. So there's a whole bunch of different stuff going on here. Obviously, the shape-shifting thing goes on. Again, Empire, we're talking about, that might be where, he accepts the heritage of mantle of Doric the 8th here. And at the cost of leaving, Billy becomes the new ruler of the Kree Skrull Alliance. So might be seeing that with the Young Avengers relationship. Powers and abilities. This is the part that's probably the most exciting. Is Hulkling's got an extraterrestrial hybrid offspring of enhanced Kree warrior, Captain Marvel, and Skrull royalty, Princess Anel, resulting in various abilities derived from the unique combination of his parents' genetic material. His powers exceed the ordinary individuals of either race. They most likely are much stronger than those of other potential hybrids due to his father's various enhancements prior to Hulkling's conception. Shape-shifting, accelerated heal factor, well, his superhuman strength. My guess is that's what you're going to see the most of this guy. Goes on to talk about his shape-shifting abilities. He can form claws, extend his reach, create body armor, grow wings. He can fly. Can use his shape-shifting to increase his body density and composition, armor. This guy seems like he could be all over the place with the different stats and abilities they give him. Very strong resistance to pain and injury. Able to withstand great impacts. Falls from great heights. I mean, it goes on and talks about, the different things and how he's unable to pierce the skin with his different related weapons and bullets. It talks about his shape-shifting a little bit more. So anyway, I think you get the idea here. Again, it talks about his healing factor, et cetera, et cetera. So this guy looks like he could be a nice kind of mix, jack-of-all-trades character. We'll see if he comes to the game. I definitely could see him being one of the better characters, honestly, given the potential for his kit. And earlier I mentioned, here it says William Kaplan, which is also known as Wiccan. And I don't know if I'm saying that right necessarily, because this is another character I'm not familiar with. This is supposed to be the second Young Avengers that come into the game. This character is really tied in with Scarlet Witch. He's the eldest of 3 sons born, talking about to reformed Jews, Jeff Kaplan, a cardiologist, and Rebecca Kaplan, a psychologist. Talked about bullies in school due to his sexuality and fanboyness. So again, might have some diversity in there in the game again, specifically with the Young Avengers. And talks about when he briefly meets Scarlet Witch, she gives him, some encouragement to stand up to a bully, but when he does, his electrokinetic powers are emerged. So then he goes and talks about the Young Avengers, where he begins to use his power. He sought out the Scarlet Witch for help, only to find out that the Avengers were disbanded. However, Billy was one of the people listed in the Avengers failsafe program compiled by Vision, and to be used to form a new team of superheroes in the event of destruction or disbanding of the Avengers. And goes on to talk about Iron Lad, a younger version of Kang the Conqueror, found Billy using the Vision's failsafe program and requested his help in preventing his future self from returning him to the future, and Billy joined the Young Avengers. So that makes a total sense there for him to be on the Young Avengers in game. Styles himself after Thor, as far as an Asgardian type, and he began dating his teammate Hulkling, not too long after. So this, you could see this kind of being a gay couple who come into the Young Avengers, into Marvel Strike Force. So it goes on to talk about Iron Lad, Kate Bishop, Cassie Lang, who's obviously with Pimtech. Let's find some abilities here. It talks about Scarlet Witch, Siege, Children's Crusade, Return of the Heroes, New Avengers, powers and abilities. So you can see he's got a ton of speed according to this, so that should be pretty interesting. It's a decent amount of durability, protection skills, wide range of superpowers derived from an unconfirmed source. His origins make it possible because both mage and mutant. His abilities were first triggered when the Scarlet Witch used her powers to heal him. However, even accepting that Wiccan is a reincarnated son of the Scarlet Witch, where exactly his powers come from is unclear. It talks about spiritual reincarnation with him, X gene. Recent questions about Scarlet Witch's parentage make it less certain that she had an X gene to pass on, that's lower stuff we won't necessarily get into. Reality warping. Wiccan's main power is the superhuman ability to warp and manipulate reality, allowing him to generate and control various forms of magic and other mystical and supernatural forces. You can see this where, maybe it's like a reality stone type situation in game. I don't know how that would necessarily do something or damage somebody. Maybe get them to hit themselves. I don't know. Or maybe get them to get blinded, slowed. I could see that. He has no standard spells, with the most being improvised on the spot. So maybe that's something that he's got a whole bunch of random stuff he just chooses to do. Sometimes maybe it's Mordo on steroids. Mordo's basic on steroids there. Some notable spells he's got is sensing locations of others. So maybe he, even if you're blind or if someone's stealth, you can still hit them. Levitation, thought casting, psychokinesis, astral projection, illusion casting. Maybe he can create a summon that's really not there, almost like a Mysterio type situation. Initially casts his magic through a unique form of a self-taught casting involving stating repeatedly on an effect or action he wants to happen. So we'll see how that shakes out. The electrokinesis, manipulate, generate, or discharge energy projections. So maybe there's something going on with kind of basically just energy, just like Scarlet Witch. I'd expect it to be piercing. Teleportation, maybe there's an aspect of dodge there that he puts dodge on his fellow teammates. Telekinesis, levitate, propel, or manipulate objects, so maybe some barrier. Healing, can quickly heal others through his spell. I expect that to be dramatically used in the game, where he's got self-healing. I could see this being a war defense type team where he really gives some healing to his own team, especially when Hulkling's there. Flight, I don't see much with that. Photokinesis, probably don't see much there either. Cryokinesis, maybe some slows with the cold. Solid energy construction, pyrokinesis, maybe some bleeds. Clairvoyance, probably not much there. So those are the two characters that they're looking at for Young Avengers. It makes sense. They seem to really tie in together. And always you like to welcome diversity to the game. If they introduce two gay characters that actually have a relationship with each other in the comics and they bring them to the Young Avengers, I think that'd be really cool. So what do you guys think? You think this would be kind of a cool, fun team, a way to shape it and kind of finalize it? Then you take Spider-Man Miles Morales and actually put him with kind of an Into the Spider-Verse team with Gwen, Spider-Ham, and a couple others. I'd love that personally. I really feel like Miles Morales is really going to create his own universe, especially for a lot of younger kids who are out there. They're going to really gravitate to Miles more than Peter Parker, just because of Into the Spider-Verse, because of the PlayStation games. Miles is going to be a very, very popular character amongst a lot of younger, that kind of younger genre. So it makes sense for Strike Force and Scopely to really hone in on that. So that's all I got, just pure speculation. Come to Discord, link in the description below, comment below, let me know your thoughts. Appreciate you guys stopping by, and until next time, I hope you have a wonderful day.